Is it frequency or is it mindset that's going to get you there? So mindset is a very hot topic, and for a good reason. And I fully got on board with this myself for many, many years. At first, I was not even close to aligning with mindset and what it could do. And then I was full throttle drinking the Kool-Aid. But I've had a lot of experiences with God. I've had a lot of experiences through my recent awakenings over the past couple years. And I've had a lot shared with me from God and exposed to me, or I've been exposed to, I should say. And I now understand at a better level, a deeper level, why mindset was always the hardest thing and why it didn't get me where I wanted to be. And you might be experiencing that too. So if mindset isn't getting you where you want to be easily, or it's not really changing so much, then this video is probably for you. Hi, I'm Sherry Hemstreet of thesherryhemstreet.com, and I talk about God and frequency and business and money and all of the fun things of the world. So I talk about frequency in a very specific way. So when I started my online business off and on somewhere around 2008, then around 2015, 2014, I really ramped it up, and that was my first six-figure moment. And so I remember going along and everything was great. And I remember thinking, wow, like I was just getting exposed to so many new things, building my online business. I've built offline businesses, brick and mortar businesses. I've had businesses. I've done all kinds of things in the realm of different business areas. But this was my first really big foray into online business. I had had a marketing agency before that, and this was the first thing that I really just really loved and expanded and exploded, right? So I remember thinking, I was like, man, I'm just doing so many new things. And I've always been a personal development junkie, right? Like I've always been like, I remember just, I want to grow. I want to expand. I never want to get stagnant as a young person. And that was my goal. That was one of the things, my values was to always be expanding, always become a better version of myself. As I got to know myself and understand myself. And so I had started my business, and I remember I was learning all these things, and I remember looking at myself one day and I'm like, man, you could read all these personal development books, but really the best way to develop yourself, building your business is the biggest, the fastest, the best way to actually develop yourself, because it's getting on the field of play, it's getting into the container and then forcing the pressure and the transformation all at once, because you have to become this person that is able to run this business at six figures, whether that's a six-figure month, a six-figure year, a six-figure day, a six-figure client, all of which I have done, all of the above. And that requires a different version of us, a different understanding and identity of who we are. And so I remember early on, I was just trying to get to consistent 20K months. It's very funny, right? I look back and I'm like, what a lofty goal, 20K months. But I wanted to get to 20K months and I just wasn't getting there. And I knew I had done all of the things that would get me there. And so my friend is like, I got this inspiration first off that I was like, I should look at mindset, which is weird because I didn't really look at mindset. I started out as one of those entrepreneurs that didn't subscribe to mindset. I'm like, mindset, why are you wasting your time and your money on that? Well, if you ask dumb questions, you will get those dumb answers right back. And I did. So my friend also, she knew I was going through this and she's like, hey, have you thought about doing this mindset thing? And I was like, I literally was just looking at that. And at that time, it was entirely different. It was an entirely different thing than I had ever experienced, because the interesting thing about getting into the online space was I didn't know I had money blocks. I had made $50,000 in a month before cash, right? This is money blocks. Now I have mindset blocks. I have money blocks. I have limitations. I have ceilings. I have, I have self-sabotage. I have all of these things. And so mindset was like, I was like, is this even real? Does this even work? Right? And it does until it doesn't. But it's not the easiest way. So I did the mindset and it helped me make the money. And then I did the mindset and it helped me make more money. And I paid over $100,000 in mindset, all kinds of things. And it helped me make all kind of money. I mean, I made like 75,000 in a couple weeks working just an hour a day. I had a $200,000 day. I had 156,000 weeks. You know, I did launches that were 6 figures left and right, all kinds of things. I had 50K, 60K, 120K clients. So like all of that mindset work I was doing was working, but it was so hard because I was having to go through, and maybe you've had this experience, you have to dig everything up. Like your mindset is like, oh, we have to do everything. We have to dig every little piece up. We have to figure out all of it. And that's like a wild goose chase. Like you are looking for a needle in a haystack. So like there's healing and there's mindset and then there's like all of the beliefs, and we have all of these things and they're all coming at us as we're building our business. And they worked until they didn't. And the thing that I noticed was it was never easy, right? It was never easy. And you're always chasing this dopamine high, this hit of like, I found the breakthrough. In fact, I just had a client today. I had to tell her, I illuminated a pattern for her that she was going through. And I was like, and she got all excited over it. She was so excited. She's like, oh my God, I have been doing that. And that's the thing. And I'm not going to do that anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm choosing not to do that anymore. And that's not what I'm going to do. And I see that I've been doing it. And she's running on and on and on about it. And she was so excited, and I could feel it and I could see it and I could hear it. And I was like, that's not a breakthrough. You see, mindset and the way the industry has taught you is that you find this thing and it's great. It's the breakthrough. You're closer. Even if your goal doesn't drop in, even if what you wanted doesn't drop in from that, just finding that mindset piece like puts you closer to the breakthrough. So you're celebrating it. You get this dopamine hit. You are excited. You're like, yes, I'm doing it. And what that's really doing is teaching you that you have to earn it. It's teaching you that it has to be hard. It's teaching you that you have to have a lot of dopamine hits, and you feel like you're doing that. And after enough dopamine hits, it'll probably just happen. What you actually want for your goal, the big thing, will come in. But so often it doesn't, because you are conditioning yourself to chase breakthroughs. And most breakthroughs are really just feedback loops. I was like, that's just a feedback loop. It doesn't sound as exciting. It's not as sexy. It's not as like, oh my God, I mean, I could have been one of those coaches that wrote a post like, oh my God, my client just had the biggest breakthrough. It was the best breakthrough ever. Here's what happened. But it's just a feedback loop. When you frame it as a feedback loop, you start taking in feedback and data differently. Now, here's why I am much less pro mindset and more frequency. Mindset is working from the bottom and pushing your way up to the goal, to the thing. You are literally trying to clear and release every single thing that you've ever thought. You're examining every thought. You're examining every belief. Your coach is listening for every single word that you say to catch you, to know what's going on. And it's true, your subconscious will tattle on you left and right. You write a post on Facebook or on social media, your subconscious is tattling on you. I can go through and I can scroll and I can see exactly where someone is and what is going on, and I can understand them just from their frequency because of this. And it's because our subconscious is always tattling on us. So what happens is that when we start with mindset work, we just don't even know where we're going to end. We don't know what particular mindset piece is going to unlock what we want, but we've been told that it will. So we just keep going and going and going. And then if that doesn't work, we add healing. And then if that doesn't work, we get another coach. And then if that doesn't work, we figure something else out, right? But that is the hard way. You see, we have taught ourselves that we have to earn it to feel worthy of it. But with frequency, I have another client. She came to me. She was having a big, what would be called a money mindset problem, right? And it was just, she had some big expenses and some big financial things coming up. And she was always getting anxious, and her nervous system was going into override, and like everything, she would just turn into a mess whenever she had to deal with these things. And money is emotional, so I get it, right? Now with her, we didn't do any mindset work. There was no mindset work to do. I stopped doing mindset work because it takes too long. I mean, if you have to fix your mindset, how long is that going to take? Right? Like this client, 6 months she had been trying to fix this. And she had already been doing the work. She'd already done the healing for like 10 years. She'd already done the mindset work for like 10 years. How long until it happens? And I said, well, look, we're not going to worry about your mindset. Your mindset, here's what's going to happen. We're going to work on your frequency, because frequency is specific. You see, there are 5 different frequency levels, and they all correlate to a very specific identity. I call these the wealthy woman frequency decoded, right? And each one of these frequencies and identities holds a specific set of characteristics and behaviors and thoughts and patterns and mindsets and all of these things. And so once I figured out exactly where she was, I was like, this is so good. We're just going to move you out of this level, and we'll calibrate you to the next level. So first we'll calibrate you to this level, make sure you have all of this locked up, and then we'll move you to the next level. And at that level, there's no mindset issue. We're not even going to work on mindset. We're only going to work on your frequency. And it was literally just a few weeks after that. And she was like, Sherry, I did that thing. And I didn't even realize it when I did it, but it was like not a big deal. She's like, I did it. I went through it. And then I took care of more financial matters on that. And like I was done in less than an hour. Whereas before, this would have taken me days. It would have knocked me out. See, mindset and working on mindset is pushing and forcing through things and scavenging to find what needs fixed. You're perfect. Like, you are the masterpiece of God. Nothing needs fixed with you. You aren't broken. You're not an engine that needs oil, or you seized up and you need a mechanic. You don't need fixed. I mean, if you break your arm, go to the doctor. They'll fix that. But that's not you that needs fixed. The arm needs fixed. But we're treating people like they're less than what they are. We're treating people like they're broken and they need fixed, and they're in need of healing, and they're in need of, and I'm not saying healing is wrong. I've done tons of healing work. I suffered much trauma as a child, abuse, all types of things. I don't need fixed because of that. I don't need fixed because of my mindset. You don't need fixed because of your mindset. Healing has its place, but it's never meant to be your identity. The trauma that you might have suffered is never meant to be your identity. The abuse or whatever you suffered is never meant to be your identity, and it's not. But somewhere along the line, it got misprogrammed. And so, she went through this. She did all of the actions. Her nervous system didn't get dysregulated. Of course not. She's at a different level where that actually happens less. She didn't spin out. She didn't freak out. She wasn't, sweating or in hyper control mode or going off the edge and just unable to deal with it. She wasn't an emotional wreck, which all of these things, the negative thoughts, the fear, the scarcity, all of the feelings of being scared, the fight or flight would kick in. The emotions would ramp up for her, as I'm sure they do for many people. Like finances, money is very emotional at a certain frequency. And that's why mindset is most needed at a certain frequency, but it's still not the best way to get rid of it. Now, at a certain frequency, I would say, yeah, there's some mindset things that you could do. There's some mindset things that will help and accelerate working with frequency. But doing mindset alone is the long way. When you change your frequency, you're changing that identity, and that identity that has mindset issues at one level thinks and acts outside of those, and they just release them and drop them at another level, right? And it kind of is like, you know how when they say, oh, when you do this and you become this person, you're going to see people fall away because they're no longer in resonance with you. They no longer have a frequency that's a match for you. That's what's happening. When you move out of the frequency and the identity that requires you to have mindset problems and a negative mindset and a negative self-talk and all of these problems, that actually drops away at a higher frequency. It just doesn't exist. And that's what happened for her. She's like, Sherry, I went through it and it was like, I didn't even realize I had done it. It was so simple. And I was like, oh my God, who am I even? Those were her words to me. And I was like, yeah, who are you even? I was like, you are this new frequency. You are in this new alignment of identity. And she was just amazed because it took no effort on her part. It's just, I mean, we hear about this all the time from the gurus and everyone out there in the world that like, oh, if you just do, if you just raise your frequency, the things that aren't serving you will fall away. It's true. It's true. The problem is most of those gurus can't quantify any frequency. And what I've done is I've broken it down into 5 specific frequencies and identities and levels, and each one has their own. So the first one does usually have more mindset problems. And then the second one, the first one is called the visionary to CEO or founder CEO, right? So that's when you're starting your business. And then the next one is self-sourced. It's the next level up. And the level up from that is self-made. And then the level up from that is sovereign. And then there's a level even beyond that, which doesn't even matter right now. Now, each one of them have a different way of operating and moving through the world. So when your coaches and your gurus are saying, be that person, be the identity of that, they expect you to go find this. But how do you go find something you don't even know and they haven't broken down? When you understand frequency and how it works, you can access this. And this is exactly what I do in my frequency reads. I do audits and I do frequency reads for people. I tell you exactly what your frequency is. And when you know what your frequency is, you know where you are. You know what is required at that level. And once you actually make sure that you have all of that in place, what is required for that level, then you can calibrate to the next level. So that's why so many people get stuck on mindset and they're trying to do mindset to get to the next level when it's actually easier just to raise your frequency or your identity to the next level and the mindset drops away. It doesn't mean you won't have like something that you couldn't use mindset for, but all of those things that were constantly pulling at you in the way that you wanted to fix your mindset, in the way you needed to get rid of the limitations and limited thinking, all of those mindset things that happen at this level don't exist at the next level. And then they are so far, they don't even like, there is no occurrence of them at the self-made level. And so that's why, well, you don't see a ton of mindset people out there. Doesn't mean you don't need a mindset or you won't have like something that you have to look at differently, but it's not the months and months and months of mindset. It is like literally a 30-minute session that you might need to like find a new perspective on, and you just can't figure that out on your own. That's great. That's realistic. That's logical. What's not logical is doing what I did, which is like paying for a year of mindset. And then I was like afraid to get out of it. Like, what's going to happen to my mindset, right? Nothing. I see women all over the place enrolling in year after year after year of mindset. One of my clients came to me and she's like, this is my 3rd year in this mindset program. I said, have you not figured it out yet? If it was going to happen, wouldn't it have happened by now? And she's like, the coach just keeps telling me that like I have to be willing to figure it out. I'm like, maybe this isn't what you have to figure out. Anyway, I wanted to share that because mindset is one of those things that like if mindset was going to work, it probably would have already worked by now, because most of the women that I work with and talk to have already done so much mindset work. They've already done so much healing work. They've already done all of this work. So it doesn't make sense to keep doing the work. it does make sense to lock into the frequency. And that's what I want you to think on. And if you want to get an audit, if you want to get a frequency read, you can head over to my website, www.thesherryhemstreet.com. It's right there. You can sign up and we will get you in and get your frequency read. You will know exactly where you are and what that looks like for you in a way that you never have before, in a way that actually puts you on the map of what you want and where you're going, and gives you clarity and power, and it just eliminates all of the uncertainty that you're probably feeling now. So what do you think? Do you think that mindset is this never-ending thing that we need to do? Or do you think that most people just don't talk about frequency in a specific and precise enough way for it to make sense? I really want to hear from you, because that's something I'm always talking about with people, and it just kind of, it's a never-ending conversation because everyone brings something different up about it. So drop me a comment below. If you are watching this, make sure to like, subscribe, let me know whatever it is you want me to talk about next. This is also probably going to be on my Substack, so if you haven't checked out my Substack, you're going to want to check that out. And I will see you on the next video. Remember, you are loved, and you are loved, and you are the masterpiece of God. There is nothing about you that needs fixed. And don't get caught up on the word God. Masterpiece of the universe, masterpiece of the divine, masterpiece of the creator. It doesn't matter. You are the masterpiece. There is nothing about you that needs fixed. You are not broken. You are amazing. See you next time.